Hey there, Factoid. It is your boy Lex Noel here alongside with my main man from Twitter land, Mr. John. Or do you want to be called John Snow?
John McFlurry is fine. Hi, thank you for having me again.
I was the ice wall. I'm sorry, I'm stopping. I'm sorry. Oh, so how was your Thanksgiving?
It was a weird 2020 Thanksgiving. I was sick, my wife was sick, so we just had a Thanksgiving together because we didn't want to expose any of our relatives. And it's good because, it was just like a very small little thing, but we roasted chicken. We had like a really nice feast still, so that was good. But I didn't see my family, and that kind of sucked. So, I kind of missed that aspect of it. But how was yours?
Same. Weird, but we tried to do a video of Thanksgiving, but it was all right. Instead of turkey, we baked the chicken.
Nice.
And Danielle makes an amazing apple pie.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah, she baked it on an open fire, not through an oven or stove, but an open fire.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
My wife can cook, so we got a good spread. I was happy about that. We still have lots of leftovers, and that was good. But yeah, I mean, just everything in 2020 weird is like the new normal. It's like everything feels like just kind of foreign and off, but it's okay. It could
Yeah,
definitely be worse.
yeah. Tell me about it. So factoids, we're going back at it again. We're going back to the 90's. you know, the radicalness 90's.
I love the 90s.
Oh, I did too. I still remember some of the weird and cool stuff that I saw in my younger days growing up in Arizona. That was my reaction. And going to the mall. I forgot what was that mall I always go to with my folks, but I went to this one arcade, and there was just one arcade that was a hologram. Play the game, and I forgot what it was
Oh, yeah.
called.
I remember that. I remember seeing it. I don't remember what it was called though. But it looked
Yeah,
really cool. It was a lot of tokens.
yeah. This YouTuber I follow, he talked about it, and I just can't name it off the top of my head. But yeah, oh, during the arcades in the 90's, oh, I was blown away. One of my go-to arcade was Aliens.
Nice. Yeah, that was a fun one to beat 'em up.
No, not the beat 'em up, but the side scrolling shooter.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. You played Ripley when she had blonde hair. I'm like, she never had blonde hair.
Yeah,
So
God, these arcade games are just incredible. I mean, there was so much good stuff. Like Midway alone, there was like NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat, Rampage, Street Fighter. Well, not from Midway, but just the '90s were amazing.
yeah, I remember the day when Street Fighter was blown everybody away at the arcades. Everybody put their tokens or quarters up front because they want to challenge the local guy who was just owning people. But I played as the least favorite Blanca, and yeah, that didn't turn out well for him.
I feel like for a lot of us, that was like the introduction to it. It's like Blanca and E Honda. You found if you just mash the buttons a bunch of times, you could do a cool move, and then that was like, oh, I can do this, And then eventually, like, there's more you can learn. But in the arcade, all
Yeah,
you hit is the machine, so there's not really any way to learn aside from just hitting buttons and see what they do. So yeah, Blanca and E Honda were my go-tos in the beginning for sure.
yeah, because everybody just go to the usual suspects. Well, Chung Lee, Ken, and Ryu.
Yeah, and Blanca looked cool, especially with that electricity move.
Yeah, just mash the punch button and then he'll go at it. But that wasn't my go-to move, but just the cannonball move I always do to everybody.
Yeah, that was fun.
It always made people mad at me. Like, stop doing that.
I remember it was fun when you like saw a new move for the first time. It's like, oh, he could do that! Holy crap! It was like an amazing thing. Whereas now, this is before like social media and even the internet. Because now people could just look up videos and see everything, and within 20 minutes they know the whole move set of every character. Whereas back then, we just saw it, and it was like mind blowing when someone did something that we didn't know they could do.
Yeah, yeah, and let's go way back in the 90s, shall we? And going to the movies with my late brother. Yeah, we saw it. We saw the Mario Brothers movie.
Oh yeah, I went as a kid too, and even as a kid, I was like, "This is a weird movie,"
Yeah, yeah. Me and my brother was watching it. It was like, what? Huh? What?
I was like, "That's Bowser? What?"
Like, why the Goombas look like that? They don't have mouths yet. Oh my god, yeah. And getting a British guy and a Latino guy to be Mario and Luigi, I was like, what? But here's the thing. Yeah, Danielle, it's my friend Michelle and Danielle's guilty pleasure movie. Why Danielle likes it? She loves the soundtrack, and I'm doing my best to look for it because it's hard to find the soundtrack for the Mario Brothers movie. She's been looking too.
Yeah, it did have a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Think about it until now, but yeah, you're right. But it's totally like one of those it's so bad it's good movies. Like it's fun to watch in a group on like a bad movie night or something, just for that reason. Just because like the effects, the writing, everything was just like so weird.
Oh, and just to let you know out there, and I'm letting you know about this, just look up on YouTube and type in Matt McMuscles, and he talks about the Super Mario Brothers movie. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, that's why it looks like that. Like, yeah.
That was a good what happened, yeah.
Oh, you saw it too? Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and his latest video of what happened, he talked about the Wii U, and I'm like, I still play it.
I do too. Well, I like that he got Scott the Wise on there because Scott's had a whole bunch of videos about the Wii U's failure, so it was just kind of nice to go through and, have him go through the same talking points, like the name was terrible and just people thought it was some kind of Wii accessory, and, The games were good though, and that's why they keep porting them to the Switch.
Yeah, I know, but everybody's mad at Nintendo. Like, why do we have to buy another Pikmin? Like, what is weird? Like, like, I don't need to buy mine. I still play the Wii U version.
Yeah, I'd say thing freeze. Like I don't want to get the Switch one because I already have it. So.
Yeah, and yeah, yes, in my honest opinion, yes, Need for Speed Most Wanted does work well on the Wii U. I played it and I was like,
I haven't played that one yet. That's cool.
Huh?
I haven't played Most Wanted. It's good?
Yeah. And what's cool about it is like if you see a car parked somewhere that has the logo on top of it, you can just go and right next to it, switch to it, bam, it's yours.
That's cool.
And yes, you still run away from the police on it too.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the Most Wanted where you had to take down these top racers. No, it's just another Most Wanted game where you just go against the police and unlock all these cars.
Nice. I'll check that out.
Yeah. And also, so what were your favorite memories of the 90s if you can't remember? Like from movie-wise, video game-wise, TV, cartoons?
There were a lot of really good superhero cartoons that came out, especially like on Fox, because they had like Batman the Animated Series and then X-Men, which we've already talked about a bit, and then Spider-Man, all kind of within a few years of each other. And they were really well animated, especially Batman. That was really, really well animated. But like the subject matter and the stories and things like that weren't like it was targeted for kids because it was in the Fox Kids lineup, but like there's stories that are actually tackling really like deep subject matter and things like that. Like how like Harley Quinn's in an abusive relationship and things like that. And it's just like, there's a lot to it. Like it's a cartoon and it's Batman, but at the same time, like it really made me think about a lot of things at a young age that I wouldn't be thinking about otherwise. And it kind of like the 90s were my formative years, and I learned a lot during those years and kind of grew a lot during those years. And those cartoons and the morals and things behind me helped shape me in a way, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and it's sad that people keep on going to their social media saying like, "I'm in a relationship like Holly and Joe," and I'm like,
That's not a good thing. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. And like X-Men, there was something
oh,
I heard on Twitter a little while ago, but Disney Plus cut a new trailer for X-Men because they have it on Disney Plus, and it was sad and also impressive how much the themes of the show are still relevant in 2020 as to when they first aired, where there's just like people are divided and xenophobia and just leaders are being horrible, and it's just all these things
yeah,
that they were dealing with are still relevant.
yeah. This is why I tell people like this is why the X-Men are my go-to superhero team because like they don't yeah sometimes they go out in space and tackle their enemies, but no, they tackle real life stuff. Like for me, yeah, it hits home with me because remember that one scene on One Man's Worth when they went to that bar? Yeah,
Yeah.
that scene was on Twitter everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the same exact thing. It's like, it's kind of a unique way to kind of teach kids about like how, hey, this is real and it's messed up. Deal with it.
Yeah, and the Friends of Humanity are like, oh my goodness. Mm, mm. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's all it has to be said. But it holds up. It's still worth watching today. I'm glad
Yeah,
they put it in Plus because now a whole new generation that never like saw those cartoons can actually have access and watch them, and that's cool.
yeah. And when I heard that it's on Disney Plus, I was like, that's cool, but I already got the DVDs on them, so I'm good. But everybody, but huh?
You're good even without Wi-Fi. I like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and remember when Disney Plus? Sorry to get off topic for a minute. Well, I just want to get off topic for a bit. Like, remember when Disney Plus launched and everybody was furious about what they did to the Simpsons ratio?
Oh yeah, and they fixed that eventually, but yeah.
Oh, they did. Took
Yeah,
them off.
there was an article about it because I know my friend was one of those really upset people, and then he was like, "Okay, it's fine now." I was like, "All right, I have those on DVD too. Well, I don't have all of them on DVD, but I have like I used to get those every year for my birthday and Christmas, so I have like the first like 10 or so seasons, and those are the ones I want. So I'm pretty okay
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, yeah. We got 1 through 12 right now. When we get 13, we're all good because yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing with the 90s is like that's when the Simpsons still had the really good writing, and like Conan was writing for them, and like it was just every episode was a classic for a lot of those seasons. Where there's like you can pick any season 4 episode and it's good.
yeah. Yeah, every time when we go to a thrift store or half price books, they're right there. Like I always look up like what seasons I have and what season we don't have, so I pick it up. and and speaking of the 90s, yes, I think late 80s, early 90s, I saw the very first episode of The Simpsons. Me and my folks watched it, and we didn't know already a Christmas episode.
Yeah, I remember that one where like Bart pulls off Homer's beard as Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Maggie had her little like star suit that she couldn't walk in. She was just like had her little arms out and
Yeah.
star but couldn't really move.
Yeah. And blown his whole $25 check at a racetrack. Like,
But it was such a cool introduction to the series because even though it was a holiday special, you got a really good feel as to how all the characters are and just the kind of humor they have and the kind of situations they're in. Like it was good. I think.
yeah. Yeah. And speaking of cartoons, yeah. The Fox Kids had really cool cartoons, yeah. And when you mentioned Spider-Man, there was a crossover episode where you see the X-Men on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were drawn different, but it was drawn that way because that's how the series of Spider-Man was drawn.
Yeah, it looked good. I mean, I like the way those cartoons kind of brought the comics to life. You could see them animated, and because like there was like the '60s Spider-Man, and that was okay, or like Spider-Man and Friends, but it just didn't look the way the '90s one did. The '90s
Oh,
one really, I think, made the comic book look a lot better than the earlier ones because it had more detail and
yeah.
just looked better.
I like Spider-Man's Amazing Friends because, yeah, it's cheesy as all get out, but hey, he teamed up with two X-Men members, Iceman and Firestar.
Yeah, and it's like it's almost like the '60s Batman in a way, where it's like it's different and it's campy, but it's still kind of fun.
Yeah, I tell people like, yeah, I seen. I grew up in the time when Batman wore blue and gray.
Yeah. I
That
still
was,
picture him that way in my head. Like I know he's been in the black suit forever, but it's still my mental model of what Batman looks like.
oh yeah, speaking of the '60s blue and gray cartoon version of Batman, I used that costume on Arkham Knight.
Nice. I love when they throw stuff like that in too, just as like a fun throwback kind of thing.
Yeah, it was cool. They got Batman Beyond suit on there on Arkham City. I was like, what? Me and my friends were sad that that only got 2 seasons because you want to know why Batman Beyond got got canceled because it got real for the younger viewers because you see people die on that show.
Oh, yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen that, but that's why they cut it.
Hmm.
Hmm. I wonder if parents complained or something.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, because one of the episodes you see a skeleton of the Joker, while there's a gang called the Jokers on there.
wow. See, now back in the '90s, X-Men started. First episode in the pilot, they introduced Morph, who everyone is like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And then he's dead in the second episode. So it's like,
Yeah, he was dead.
well, yeah, he was dead. But I mean, it wasn't going to cancel the show. Like he was a plot device essentially. Like he was just
Yeah,
made to die essentially.
yeah, and what made me upset about the first season, like Beast was hardly on this first season. I was like, gee, he was in jail for the whole season and had to wait till the last episode for him to be free from jail. I'm like,
And it felt like such a waste too. It's like he's upside down reading Animal Farm, and it's Kelsey Grammer, and it's like there's so much potential in the character, and I do like the parts you see him in the first season. But yeah, he's just chilling in jail, and he could totally break out anytime he wants, but he's not going to because he's Beast and he's cool. He's just waiting.
he is one of my personal favorites because one of those X-Men story arcs is called Endangered Species. Like when Wanda said no more mutants, half of the mutant population,
Yeah.
and it was him trying to save it. That's why I personally like that story arc because you see Beast, you finally see Beast being a hero. Like he's not always brute strength. Like yeah, he can hang upside down, but he has a big brain. That's why he's Dr. Hatecoy.
I mean, he's a scientist.
Oh. Speaking of Fox Kids cartoons, do you remember Peter Pan the Pirates?
Yes. I vaguely remember that, but yes.
Oh, I liked it because you got Tim Curry to be the voice Captain Hook. I was like, that's cool.
That is cool. I like Tim Curry will just take any role he's gonna have fun in. I like that too. Like he doesn't have to be Captain Hook, but he's like, yeah, I'll be Captain Hook.
I was
I
like,
get more money. I'll do whatever I want.
yeah. Throughout his whole career, he always voiced and played villains.
Yeah.
I asked myself, is it because of his voice or his look?
His voice is really effective though. There was I have a CD set of like Tales from the Crypt stories that are narrated, and he narrated one of the stories. Like he did that as like I don't know if how much he got paid for it or whatever, but like it's amazing. Like just hearing him tell the story with his voice just lends a lot of depth to it.
Oh, and you want to know what I missed from the 90s? Good parody movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's this movie that I personally like called. I think it came out. Yeah, in the '90s. It's called National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon One.
Nice.
And yeah, and Tim Curry is on it. He plays a side boss on there.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah. During one of his scenes, like on the last chapter of the movie, you see him do a gunfight with him and Emilio Estevez. He got shot, and Tim Curry's character fall off the scaffolding. And then when Emilio Estevez's character looked over, you see Tim Curry's character moving his body to the chalk.
Nice.
I'm like, I say you missed your mark. I advise you look up that movie and you'll be laughing your butt off. Mm. Oh, and what else? Oh, so what is your personal favorite movies from the '90s that you personally like?
That's tough. I mean, it's a big decade. I do like the third Die Hard a lot. Of course, I love the first two Die Hards, and there's a lot of parallels in the first two. But in the third one, they introduced Samuel Jackson, tried something a little bit different, where they're like running around defusing bombs and stuff, and it's not Christmas. That was really cool. So that's the first movie that comes to mind. I'm sure there's a ton more, but that's the first one I thought of. What about you?
Yeah, me. Yeah, the first one is amazing, but the second one, I really enjoyed that story because he just waiting for his wife at the airport, and all of a sudden, terrorists.
Yeah, I think two is the best ending too. Honestly, out of all of them.
Oh yeah, because he was getting his butt kicked, and then all of a sudden he was hanging off the wing of the plane. Then he saw the gas fuel.
Yeah,
Thing.
turn things around pretty quickly. That's so perfect. It's just like, oh, and now, okay, great.
Oh my goodness! And on the first one, my favorite line through the whole movie: "Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs." And what's funny is that when you play Spider-Man 2 the PlayStation for the PlayStation 1, he says that. He said that real time.
Oh, that's awesome.
He
And
said,
that's another thing too, man. The '90s had like the best game systems. Holy crap!
"Oh yeah,
Like
it's a shame that a lot of people."
Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, all of them, man. Like almost like most retro gaming was there. I mean, there's Atari and Nintendo before it, but there were so many good systems.
Oh yeah, and I was there during the rivalry, the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. I was there.
To the '90s, yeah.
How old were you when Doom exploded to your PC?
12, I think, around there. The funniest thing too about the console wars is like most games came out for both systems too. Like if you want Street Fighter, they both have them. Mortal Kombat, they both have them. NBA Jam, they both have them. Like there's little differences and the controllers are different, but the console wars, it was kind of stupid in hindsight, but it was brilliant marketing because they got people to care at a very young age about what system they wanted, and man, they had conviction. Whatever system they chose, they were like very diehard for that system.
Yeah, and I wanted the Turbo Graphics because I heard when I first played Splatterhouse in the arcade, I said I must have this game.
Yeah, I wanted it too because they had one set up in Toys R Us with Splatterhouse, no less, which is kind of weird to have in Toys R Us. But because it's so bloody and violent, But I was not the rich kid. I could not afford that,
Yeah, same here. My parents really wanted to get it for me, but the price for it back then, I'm like,
Turbo Graphics, Neo Geo, maybe Jaguar to an extent. Like there were some systems that existed, but I didn't know anyone that had them because they cost just a crazy amount of money, or they were hard to find, or both.
Can you believe that Pack the NES Punk on one of his very old flea market videos, he found a Neo Geo over there, and he asked the vendor how much. He gave it to him for $40. I'm like,
yeah, I remember that. I was like, I felt that in my soul.
like, like, why can I be that lucky?
But now we have minis. So we have the TurboGrafx mini, we have the Neo Geo mini. We can play the games on our TV. It's nice.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, oh, you have a TurboGrafx mini?
Yeah, I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
ask you this: do they have East Book 1 and 2, the TurboGrafx CD version of it on there?
Yes, it's on there.
I know what I'm getting for Christmas.
Nice. Yeah, because I played that on Wii Virtual Console, and then I got the Turbo, and it was on there, and I was very excited to see that.
Oh, it's on the Switch each shop?
Yeah, well, not the Switch one, the Wii U, or not the Wii U one, like way back in the Wii Virtual Console days.
Oh yeah.
That's when I played it first, and I was like, this is amazing.
What's sad? What's sad is that if you want Castlevania, you gotta get the PC Engine Mini.
Oh no, they're all on there.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah, there's a little thing in the corner, and you can switch between the TurboGrafx one and the PC Engine one, and it's on there. And so you actually have like a whole new set of games. Now it's mostly good, but there's some games like Snatcher that are on there that are like not in English. So you could technically play it, but unless you speak Japanese, you're not really going to get far. But and also games like Ys, they have both versions. So you can play it in English or Japanese if you feel like it for some reason. So
yeah, I just wanted to know like if it's the version from the CD version, because the music on the CD version is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's cool. They put a little CD sound when it starts the little like animation to like play it. It's cute.
Yes.
But yeah, I totally recommend that to play like 90s TurboGrafx games. It is amazing.
Yeah, and also, I was there when Nightmare Before Christmas opened.
Oh yeah. We went to that in the theater, and then I remember Burger King had these watches, and they had like a Nightmare Before Christmas watch. For, like, I loved that thing. Yeah.
And they did it for Jurassic Park too. Burger King did.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
I wanted the one with the eye on it, but they didn't. That was the first one to sell out. I was like, darn it.
I remember which one I had. I think it was like purple or something. It was a long time ago.
Oh, and I was there when Batman Returns opened. Like, yeah, a lot of people didn't like it, but I personally liked it because it felt cool to see Penguin.
Yeah, and Danny DeVito was great.
Yeah, and you want to know something? That my friends told me that's the movie that gave them nightmare feel when they saw Danny DeVito's Penguin.
I believe it. You know, like especially the way his hands were. Like it was a little creepy. You know.
No, it wasn't the hands. It was just his face.
That was a lot too.
It didn't mind me, but I really did enjoy it because seeing the Batmobile on a snowy road, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like all of a sudden, like, yes, I told people like I was there when Nightmare Before Christmas opened and they had mixed reviews, but then all of a sudden, like in the 2000s, it became the hottest thing. I'm like, huh? Like, what?
It's weird the way that works. So people like don't really like something when it comes out, and then a few years later, in hindsight, they're like, "Oh, that was really good." It's like, okay. You
Yeah,
know.
like merchandise and everything. I'm like, are y'all the same people saying that you didn't really enjoy it? especially when Hocus Pocus came out, and there's one movie on the tip of my tongue. I just can't name it, but it's on the top of my head. But oh yes, it wasn't the movie. It was all of a sudden people like Deadpool now. I'm like, what? Y'all never heard of Deadpool? And all of a sudden y'all wearing his merchandise, mask, and everything.
Yeah, Deadpool's been around a while. My wife loves Hocus Pocus, but it is kind of strange how that happens. You know, it's like something comes out and then suddenly, oh, I love that. Okay, well, you know.
Yeah, and I had the first New Mutants comic where he was introduced into it, and I was so sad that I lost that comic when I moved from Arizona to New Orleans, because you want to believe how much it's worth now.
Well, a pretty penny.
Yeah, in $2,000. No, not
Ooh,
no, not 2,000. 200. 200. 200.
still, that's a lot for a comic.
Yeah. No, you want to know what's expensive? The first Spider-Man comic, number one. Yeah. 1.1 million.
Wow. See, I get like Marvel has these books called The Essential, where they like just compile a whole bunch of comics together in like a comic book like thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like 15 or 16 bucks for a whole like run of them. So you can get like for 15 bucks like 30 years of comics,
Yeah,
and
I
then
got
go
that.
through those until I get to the end, and then get another one. Your
Yeah.
local comic shop has a ton of them, and they're like they have one for almost every kind of major line that's been going for decades, and it's great because you get whole story arcs, and they're not in color, but it's 15 bucks, so I don't really mind, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, speaking of comics, yeah, I was there when I watched the obscure cartoons like Biker Mice from Mars, the Bots Masters, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, Double Dragons.
Yeah, that Double Dragon one was cheesy.
Yeah, yeah, I know it was cheesy as hell, but I just went with it. Like,
Oh yeah, it was fun. I mean, I remember they had an episode about the internet, and they're like, "It's the information superhighway." Oh my god,
yeah,
even is a weird term, you know.
yeah, and I'm like, when I watched the second episode, I'm like, they never use swords, like they just use their fist. Like, okay, all right.
It's very G-rated Double Dragons.
Oh, and we went. Me and Danielle, we went to a, a retro gaming convention called Retro Fest in Fort Worth, Texas, and you want to believe what this vendor gave to us for $1? The entire the entire series of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oh god, I love that. That was like that's the thing that got me into games as a kid, to the point where I became so obsessed with Mario. My first grade teacher was talking to my parents about it, and she asked them how much I played Nintendo. I didn't have a Nintendo yet at all. I just watched the cartoons and loved the cartoons. I would like draw them and stuff, you know. And then eventually I got a Nintendo and became obsessed with that instead. So one thing to another, but like that's where my love of games kind of started, was that cartoon with Captain Lou Albano doing like sketches. It was awesome, man.
Oh, and guess what we found? We found for $5
Hmm.
the complete series of Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Nice. That was Fridays on the Super Show.
Yep.
I look forward to that. Yeah, every week I'm like, it's Zelda Day.
And do you remember when they took off the Mario skits and put in Club Mario?
Yeah, I like the skits though. They were fun. I mean, granted, I was in like first grade, but at the time they were fun.
Yeah, I think I was in second or third grade when that.
Like, I'm not sure how well they hold up anymore. I haven't watched it forever. I got a DVD of just the cartoons, but it only has some of the cartoons, and there's no skits on it or anything. But I wanted to show my niece some of that. I also got the Sonic cartoons to show her, and that was another weird thing in the '90s. The way there were like two Sonic cartoons. There was like the kind of fun one, and then there was like a real serious, gritty Sonic cartoon on ABC.
Oh, yeah, it's called Sonic the Hedgehog, but people call it Sonic Sat AM.
Yeah. And they're so different. Like I love the silly fun one just because that's the one I grew up with. And they have the best PSAs at the end of that ever. Like there's one where Sonic tells kids not to climb into a dryer because it's not a ride. And I thought that's messed up, but that probably saved lives. So whatever, you know.
Oh, and if you know our good friend G to the next level, every time when he does something like that, he put the Sonic says on his Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, G's awesome.
Yeah, he is, and I am looking forward to his new videos that's coming soon.
Me too. Yeah, I like that he also brought back some of the I Retro Game to Rewind stuff. Because those were really good. And then they got pulled, and now they're kind of back.
Yeah,
That was like him going over some old games and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also, you want to know what else I have from Mario related? I'll show you.
Sure. Oh yeah. Oh god, man. I remember that cartoon on NBC.